UFC 307 goes down this weekend in Salt Lake City this Saturday, October 5th. It will be starting early prelims, 6 p.m., prelims, 8 p.m., and finally the main card at 10 p.m. Eastern, like usual. Now, we've got a big light heavyweight title fight in the main event and a co-main event bantamweight women's championship. Juliana Pena coming off of a long layoff, and Raquel Pennington. All right, whatever. Anyway, let's start from the bottom. Just go over the card, couple of things, give you my picks. Again, not an expert in breaking down fights. I just bring you the news, bring you some opinions, a differing side of things. Let's just go from the bottom up. We got Tim Means taking on Court McGee, two old heads in their late 30s, early 40s. Tim Means, longer, rangier, jab type. Think Nate Diaz, but less athletic. Court McGee, more of a well-rounded, just a tough, gutsy fighter, likes to come forward. He's always in it for a fight, likes to mix the martial arts. I think Tim Means could point fight his way to a win here, or Court McGee's going to get him down and possibly finish Tim Means, but I just don't know if it'll happen. I think this one ultimately goes to a decision. It'll be a fun fight. These guys might both retire. The loser might retire. The winner might retire. I don't know what's going to happen. Tune in, because these guys are two legends of the game that have been around for a very, very long time. Now, on to the next one, which will be Carla Esparza, the first strawweight women's champ in the history of the UFC. Got that win off of the Ultimate Fighter. Will be taking on Tecia Torres, Tiny Tornado, more athletic, definitely the more explosive fighter here in this one. But Carla Esparza, she's just a well-rounded, she's decent at fighting, she's good everywhere. She's been doing it for a lot longer than most of these girls. I think that maybe she might get the decision win, might be able to grapple, stay heavy on Tecia in this one, or Ticia's going to be able to scramble right out of that and just point fight, jab her, knock her out. Who knows what's going to happen really in this one. It's two moms fighting. The mom strength comes into factor. The older these ladies get, the better they seem to be. Carla Esparza says this is going to be her last fight, so is she really motivated? I don't know. I think she could win a decision here, or Tecia Torres really could just be more explosive, hit her with a couple of good shots on the feet, and stave off those takedowns and get the win here by decision. Who knows? But good luck to these women. Maybe they'll both retire as well. We might have a lot of retirements here. We might have a lot of older fighters staying in the game too long here. We'll see how it all plays out. Very, very fun fight card. Big names, but not a lot of fun, super exciting fights from top to bottom. It kind of just is what it is. It could be very boring, or it could be really good. That's what this card is looking like right now, which is always interesting to watch. You always are tuning in to see how these fights are going to play out. They could be bad, they could be good. That's what I look at when I see these fights as a studier of the game. Do I break down every single fight in absolute detail? No, but I see a lot of potential for exciting knockouts, exciting finishes, exciting barn burner fights, and I also see the potential for boring fights. That's absolutely true in this one, and none more exemplary of that than Ryan Spann and Ovince St. Preux. Ovince St. Preux getting up there in age. Ryan Spann, not the smartest fighter, but has huge power in his hands. Ovince St. Preux has big kicks, but ultimately in his last couple of fights has not proved to be very exciting at all. I think Ryan Spann probably gets it done in this one, but Ovince could stay at range, keep those kicks going, make it dangerous for Ryan Spann to come crashing in with huge hooks, and ultimately ride out a decision victory. That's entirely possible, but like I said, I think Ryan Spann's going to get the victory here in this one. That's what I see happening. Now on to the next one. Cesar Almeida versus Ihor Potieria. Almeida coming in, trains with Alex Pereira, getting ready for this fight with Alex Pereira, a stockier, shorter fighter than Alex Pereira for sure. Training with Glover Teixeira as well. I think he's probably going to finish Ihor Potieria pretty easily. Ihor Potieria has got a couple of wins in the UFC, but against a couple of schmucks, a couple of bums, not really worth any mention here at all. Ihor Potieria, he's well-rounded, he's gutsy, he tries to take shots and move forward, he just ultimately can't. He's got that long neck, skinny frame, can't take shots all that well. I think Cesar Almeida is likely going to finish him, but if Ihor can get it to the ground, he could finish Cesar, because Cesar is a bit weaker on the ground. That's entirely possible. So we'll see how that one's. I predict it'll be Almeida getting the win there. Now, Austin Hubbard versus Alexander Hernandez, moving back up to 155. Hubbard and Alexander Hernandez are two guys that just like to scrap it out. Hubbard is just a tough, gutsy fighter, crashes forward, leaves everything out on the table. Alexander Hernandez has big power, likes to fight technically, but ultimately isn't that good at doing so. He just relies on his power ultimately to get him through to these wins. That's what happens. That's the truth of the matter. I think Alexander Hernandez, I think he's going to get it done early in this one. It's entirely possible that he can put Hubbard out of there, but Hubbard's really tough and has a good chin, so we'll see what happens. I think Hubbard, either, like I said about these fights, they could be terribly boring or exciting first-round finishes. Hernandez could starch him in the first round. He tires out, so if Hubbard can drag him into the second, third rounds, he might be able to get a decision victory. We'll see what happens there. I predict Alexander Hernandez going to get the finish in the first round. Then we move on to another women's fight. Marina Rodriguez versus Yasmin Lucindo. I think Marina Rodriguez is just levels above her. Lucindo a little bit shorter, too short maybe to stay out of danger of those long, rangy punches of Marina Rodriguez. Is Marina Rodriguez going to put a beating on Lucindo? I highly doubt it, but she's long, rangy. She's going to keep her at range and just 1-2, 1-2 all the way to a decision victory. That's what I predict will happen in that one. Now, a fun one coming up here. Stephen Thompson and Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley taking a huge step up in competition here. He'll be taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, one of the most interesting strikers, one of the most difficult opponents you could face in the UFC. He just has a weird style that not many guys fight with anymore. A karate style, a bladed stance, wide stance fighter who has good takedown defense. Joaquin Buckley, many think that he's going to stay on the feet and strike with this guy. I predict that he's going to try to mix it up. And if he mixes it up this week, if he mixes it up at 307, he's going to get a victory here because he's got big power in his hands. I think he can hang just enough with Stephen Thompson on the feet and threaten takedowns and mix it up. If he mixes it up and combines takedowns with the striking, strikes to get in on takedowns, to get in on the hips, he will cruise to victory here against Stephen Thompson. He could even finish Stephen Thompson in the second or third rounds if he's able to get in on some of these takedowns, threaten him with the big punches, threaten him with the striking, and then get in on the hips quick and take him down. It's entirely possible that Joaquin Buckley gets the win here. I think he could do it. Stephen Thompson getting older. Stephen Thompson said he's feeling great, better than ever. Stephen Thompson could catch him at any moment in this fight, but I predict that Joaquin Buckley is going to play it smart here. I hope that he plays it smart because I think he would be an interesting contender at 170. He's stocky, he's big, he's thick and ready to fight at the 170 division. He's hungry, and that's what they need at 170. Stephen Thompson, kind of on the tail end of his career, 41 years old. We'll see what happens. Stephen Thompson, obviously always dangerous, could hit him with something. You never know. Watch this one. This one's definitely going to be exciting, no doubt. Now, we move on to the main card, the pay-per-view. Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. Roman Dolidze, obviously, coming off of that win over Anthony Smith on late notice at 303. Stepping in, fighting at 307 against Kevin Holland, the rangy, masterful trash talker Kevin Holland himself. I think Dolidze is going to either bully himself into a victory here and just squash Kevin Holland with the strength. He's moving down, coming into 185 with a lot of muscle on him. And Kevin Holland had been fighting at 170, moving back up to 185, going back and forth between 185 and 170. Doesn't have a lot of muscle, long, rangy. He could hit Roman Dolidze crashing in at some point, but I think Roman Dolidze is probably going to smother Kevin Holland and get the victory here in this one. Now, one of the biggest women's fights that you could make. Ketlen Vieira coming off a lot of wins, some controversially, some boring, some split decisions, but also finishing a couple of women on her way up, facing Kayla Harrison, the dangerous judo practitioner, the gold medalist herself. Kayla Harrison coming into this one. I think she's going to easily dispatch of Ketlen Vieira. When you add elbows to Kayla Harrison's game, she becomes a whole entirely different fighter. She's one of the most dangerous women's fighters when you add those elbows into her game. In the PFL, she was dominating, but she couldn't even throw her most dangerous weapon, which is the elbows. We saw what she did to Holly Holm, smashed her at UFC 300, absolutely put a beating like we've never seen before on Holly Holm. Kayla Harrison did that in such dominant fashion that I believe she's going to cruise to victory here over Ketlen Vieira. These names sound so similar. Forgive me. Kayla Harrison The elbows are going to be the differentiator here. She might get a submission, might finish her by TKO with the elbows. Look for that. Exciting fighter. Finally, Kayla Harrison. Finally, somebody exciting at 135 for the women. I'm not a big women's MMA fan, but Kayla Harrison definitely puts the damage on these women, and she'll likely be next. And she's also weighing in as the backup for the co-main event between Pennington and Pena. Now, we move on to the legend himself, Jose Aldo taking on Mario Bautista. Bautista coming up through the rankings, looking to make a name for himself and get a big win against one of the toughest opponents he has faced yet in Jose Aldo. I just think Jose Aldo is too much of a step. I think he's still too fast, too athletic, has too good of striking for Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista is well-rounded, no doubt, but can he get the takedowns on Aldo? Aldo stuffed almost all of Merab's takedowns, has some of the best takedown defense for a striker we have ever seen, and I think he's still got the speed, got the boxing ability. If he can get his kicks going on the legs of Bautista, it's over for Bautista. But Bautista could hang in there and get a decision victory as well if he just outpoints Aldo, but I predict that Aldo's probably going to be the faster, better striker than Bautista. Bautista likes to keep it at range, but he's good. I'm excited to see this one. This is probably one of the best fights in terms of competitiveness, guaranteed competitiveness. But who knows? Maybe Jose Aldo proves that Mario Bautista is just not quite at this level. Mario Bautista taking a big step up in competition. We'll see how this one plays out. I predict Aldo to get the win here. Now, Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena, coming off a long layoff. Raquel Pennington, very, very boring performance against Mayra Bueno Silva to win the belt back in January. I'm not really excited for this fight. It is a title fight. It's got big stakes, but I don't know. Juliana Pena, she seems to play it smart. She's a smarter grappler, I think, than Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington is just well-rounded and good at it, and she resorts to it when she needs to, which is fine, but Juliana Pena is going to look for those takedowns. I think she's going to do enough to stay in the pocket, kind of dirty box it up with Raquel Pennington. I think maybe Pena cruises to victory here. I think she's just the more athletic, better fighter here overall, but who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. Whoever's next is going to be fighting Kayla Harrison. That's all I know. Kayla Harrison probably going to smash either one of these ladies. It is what it is. Anyway, on to the main event. Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree. Khalil Rountree saying that he's got a secret weapon heading into this one. I don't know how much that's really going to matter when Alex Pereira has that left hand of doom and those great calf kicks. Khalil Rountree likes to stay heavy on that back foot, so they're both southpaws as well, so it's going to be interesting. Alex Pereira might not be able to get that left hook off as easily in this one against Khalil. I still predict Alex Pereira to knock him out in the first or second round, but Khalil does have power. He can hang in there on the feet. They both like to feint as much as possible. They're both crafty strikers, but Khalil I just don't quite think has been doing it long enough. I don't think he's quite on the level to get it done against Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira is ultimately probably going to finish him late in the first, early in the second, once he gets a couple of reads, gets a couple of things going in terms of what Khalil's going to be doing. I think Alex Pereira is going to take the win here by knockout in some fashion. He's going to beat up that leg of Khalil. But the good thing about Khalil in that Muay Thai stance, he's light on that front leg, so he might be able to pick it up and either check or keep it and swing it out of the way of those kicks of Alex Pereira. So that's an advantage for Khalil for sure. And the southpaw stance will keep Khalil out of danger in some capacity of that left hook over the top. Alex is going to have to start throwing that way over the top if he wants to get it connecting on Khalil's chin. Let me know what you guys think about all these fights. What's the big standouts here? What's a big upset that you think is going to happen? I think Joaquin Buckley might get the upset here. Kayla Harrison, obviously, probably going to win this one. Juliana Pena, probably the underdog here. I don't know. I don't look at the odds. I'm not a better. Jose Aldo might be the underdog here in this one as well. I'm looking for him to win. Let me know what you guys think about all the fights. Give me some of your predictions. Who do you think is going to win the main event? One of the most important fights we could have. Alex Pereira at the top of his popularity right now, at the top of his stardom. Is it the right time for Khalil? I don't know. Does he even deserve the fight? That's the question. Let me know what you guys think about this entire card. UFC 307 taking place on Saturday in Salt Lake City. Main event, Alex Pereira, Khalil Rountree. Excited to see this one. I'll see you after the fights.